Thank you for coming. We're going to start today with discussing how to become a great storyteller. In order to truly move your audience, effective storytelling is much more than reading a story or even telling one. You have to put much more into it before that. Effective storytelling involves a deep understanding of human emotions, motivation, and psychology. Storytelling is part of our day-to-day life. Storytellers is someone that knows how to weave a story out of the simplest of messages. To create a story, you must understand the rules and how the story is composed. Knowing the rules allow you to take your message and your audience anywhere you want them to go. Disregard your audience and your message will flounder and your story will go nowhere. There is a difference between good storytelling and great storyteller. We want to become great storytellers. Let's take the first step. To become that great storyteller, we must create a story. There are 5 elements involved in writing a story. Michelle Cushnet wrote a great article called 101 Storytelling. She lays out 5 elements needed to compose a story. The first is exposition. This is the story's beginning. Every one of the characters become who they are before it becomes complicated. With a novel, you can take pages, chapters, whatever to lay your foundation. But if you're writing a story or a speech, you don't have that long. You may only have 1 page, and you better take it to life. Number 2, inciting incident. Just as life, a good story, no, a great story, ripens with tension. What is inciting incident? An event that incites and initiates conflict and pushes the main characters to a point of no return. Ultimately, it requires change, which is the substance of the rest of your story. Number 3, rising to action. As with most stories, tension isn't limited to one event or scenario. The best stories are those with one situation after another. Number 4, climax is when the tension in your story peaks and the character is at their worst case scenario, where the fork meets the road. Everything is hanging in a balance, and no one knows how your story will end. Number 5, resolution. Also known as denouncement, taken from a French word which means to untie, as with a knot. This is how your story ends, your tension relieved and your crisis averted. As a result of your journey, the characters are transformed. Now we've covered how to compose a story. It's time to discuss how to bring your story to life. Pixar is one of the greatest story writers and tellers in all of America. Pixar created 22 rules of storytelling. We're only going to have time to look at the first 6. Pixar, perhaps the utmost of our generation. They have won 13 Academy Awards, 9 Golden Globes, and 11 Grammys. I feel they have the right to be called the greatest storytellers in America. Number 1, great stories are universal. Great storytelling is about taking a piece of human life, such as a birth, a job situation, relationship ups and downs, or whatever affects your life, and convey it in a unique situation. Pixar's director, Peter Docker, puts it perfectly. What you try to do when you're telling a story is to write about an event in your life that made you feel in a particular way. What you're trying to do when you tell that story is to get your audience to feel the same emotion, the same turmoil that you felt. One way to do this is to pull your story apart, piece by piece, breaking down each and every element of the story embellishing it. Tell what you love about your story and tell what you hate. Be real. Those real feelings you have. And then you will recognize them, and so will your audience. And they will delve into the deepest order of your story. In other words, self-knowledge and awareness are the root of a great story. Great stories have clear structure and purpose. The structure, Pixar develops their stories by using what they call the story spine. This is a formula created by playwrights and polished by Ken Adams. Many films, as we know and love them, have been created using this mode. It goes something like this. Once upon a time, blank. Every day, blank. One day, blank. Because of that, blank. Until finally, blank. Yes, and now it's the purpose. To give your spine shot a boost, ask yourself these questions. Why do we feel this story must be told? What's the belief burning within inside of your story? What great purpose does your story serve? And what does the story teach? When you find the answers, you will see what is in the heart of your true story. By crafting your story, that passion shines through, and it serves a real true purpose. Your story is bigger and has more impact than your audience than you can ever dream, and yes, the world. Pixar says he's afraid sometimes this gets lost in his films. Great stories have great character to root for the underdog. People want to root for the main idea, the main character, and they love an underdog. Pixar explains, the audience admires the character more for his journey than for his destination. So, as they look back over it, when they're backed up against the wall, that's when your story has become real. Thank you.